Hello guys, it's Ryan Ho back with another video. Today I want to talk about not only a dynamic sounding, but a very detailed sounding IEM. So here we have the Moondrop Starfield 2. Now this actually has new driver tech that kind of pushes this above its predecessors and stuff like the Moondrop Aria that's kind of based off the Starfield. And the new driver is a lithium magnesium driver. They're stated to be not only more kind of flexible. It's stated to be not only more rigid and stronger than beryllium, but it's also lighter. So these two properties should allow it to not only move faster and give you kind of more resolution, but it also should have less distortion because it's stronger and it's less kind of prone to breaking up. And honestly, after hearing it, I can definitely hear the detail in the driver. So I think it's definitely helping it out a lot. And the other thing that I noticed about this thing is, my God, is the bass like really dynamic and punchy. This is probably one of the most punchy things I've heard in a while. Like, I feel like this reminds me a lot of the really much more expensive Moondrop variations, where this bass just goes really hard, but it's also very well controlled and detailed. This doesn't sound kind of woolly or kind of, sloppy. It sounds very controlled and tight and very nice. So I feel like that might be the best aspect of this IEM. But yeah, let's talk about this in more detail, and then we'll do some comparisons to some stuff around the price point just to get a sense of like how good it is, right? And yeah, I want to thank Apos Audio for sending this out. So if you guys are interested in any of these products, go down below and buy from Apos. Obviously, if you guys buy from the links below, it also helps support my channel as well. And of course, I'm trying to hit like 5K subscribers by the end of the year. So if anyone can help subscribe, that would help, because I think less than like 96% of people are subscribed on my channel who watch my videos. So it's pretty bad, but yeah. All right, let's get into our anime waifu box. On the back, we have the FR response, as always. Slide it out. We have the warranty card. We have the standard bag. I've seen this one on a lot of their mid-range ones, so a very similar type of bag, but it feels like faux leather. It feels actually really premium, really nice. So I actually like the way it feels, and it has the kind of felt stuff on the inside. Take a look at this. We have the cable in their kind of Starfield fashion. They got a colored cable that kind of matches the kind of aesthetic of the IEM. And of course this, it's actually protected, but it terminates into a 3.5 millimeter. So we have the IEM, I just love how the Starfield just has that nice blue gold aesthetic. Like, I really like this aesthetic. The Stellaris had it as well, and it looks nice. I mean, honestly, look at the finish on that. It's like, it's shiny, sparkly. It is a sight to behold. We have these like gold looking nozzles. So we have found the ear tips, and then we got some manuals, I guess. So this cable has these nice gold tips as well. So I like the little kind of subtle finishes, as well as it has a little bit of white, a little bit of red indicating left and right. And then it even has this right here, which is kind of, it keeps your cables together, or you can, separate it. So it's kind of nice that it kind of has this built in, and you kind of move it up and down. So that's a nice kind of add that I don't really see in many other IEMs. So you got the Moondrop logo right here on the gold tip. It's just a nice additional finish that it has, When it comes to describing the sound of Starfield 2, I would say V-shape is probably the best way to describe it. It has a lot of bass, and the treble is also emphasized, with the mid-range still being very present, but you could definitely tell that the bass of this goes really low. It's definitely emphasized. You'll definitely be super satisfied with the bass. I think that's probably the best aspect of this IEM, is the bass is just fast, it hits hard, it goes deep, it's just dynamic, it's fun. Like, this whole entire driver is very dynamic in the sense of it reminds me of being in a movie theater where everything just shakes. I feel like that gives it a lot of realistic type of properties to it that really stand out. I feel like a lot of kind of BA drivers from other IEMs really don't have the same type of note weight. They don't move the same amount of air as this one does. This one moves tons of air. I feel like that part is really cool. And you can also tell that in the mid-range as well, because when you're listening to things like strings and they're being kind of plucked, you can definitely like feel them being plucked. So it's really, really nice property to have. I feel like that's just very standout, right? So through the mid-range, you can definitely feel all the notes, as well as it's very just honestly perfectly tuned in a mid-range. It sounds really good for male vocalists, especially a lot of your guitars, and then even the female vocals sound really, really well. I do think, when you get to the treble / the upper mid-range, that's where kind of some of the female vocals do sound a little bit kind of emphasized, a little bit more kind of forward. And, some people would say it's kind of shouty. Now, I don't think it's that bad, but it is a little bit forward. So, the funny thing about it is the kind of stock tips that this comes with kind of give it that presentation. But if you use some of these replacement tips, so these are the replacement tips that I actually bought on Amazon. I think it was like $6 for 48 tips. But essentially you get 8 different tips, and I try them all to kind of see which one sounds the best. And essentially what I feel like a lot of companies do is that when they kind of make their IEM, they only ship with like one kind of tip. And I feel like that's a shame, because they put a lot of effort in tuning this. And I feel like the tuning of this is really good, but the variance that I feel like is, it is slightly bright. And to kind of curb that brightness, you can just swap the tip. So from these tips, I actually like the white one the most. So this kind of solid white. And that one really, really just kind of made the treble a lot more controlled, and it just sounded really nice and easygoing. It kind of reminded me of the Moondrop Aria, essentially, like very similar tuning to that, but this one has just so much more detail than that kind of $80 kind of IEM. So this is definitely an upgrade in a lot of ways to the Aria. So I do recommend, swap tips if you find it too bright. Now let's talk about kind of soundstage and imaging. So that's a very interesting part. So the thing I found about this that was honestly really nice about it is that when it kind of comes to the soundstage, it's, I think it's pretty much average. I wouldn't say it's the biggest thing I've heard, but it's not small. It's just average to me. But the imaging, when I was playing Valorant, and I just literally got into the game, and I just knew right away this is a banger. I could literally tell where everybody was. I was just like finding everybody, and within the first minute I already knew this was going to be a good IEM for gaming, especially competitive FPS. So I definitely recommend that. Honestly, I would recommend this for like any type of gaming. If you want to play story mode games, it sounds fantastic. It's just really nice, punchy. Dialogue will sound really good. Like basically everything just sounds really good on this. So I definitely just recommend this in general for music and just gaming. And so yeah, I do want to conclude with like, I guess, the technical performance. I feel like this is one of the most detailed dynamic drivers I've heard, like, especially the bass. I feel like even the Moondrop Kato, which is the more expensive version of this, although I think the Kato with its stock kind of tips does sound better than this in the sense of tuning wise, this one sounds pretty detailed. Like honestly, I feel like it's really close, if not probably even better in the bass for some people, because the bass is pretty elevated, that people might actually prefer this one over the Kato. And I think it does close the gap between that one and this one a lot. So if you're really into kind of an upgrade from kind of your cheaper IEMs like the Arias to something a little bit better, I do think this is a good solid choice. So in conclusion, the Starfield 2 is a very, very good sounding IEM. It has this nice bass that's really, really good. With replacement tips, it can make it a little less bright if you're kind of prone to brightness. And I really do think this is a very, very detailed driver. And yeah, I honestly recommend this, especially for people who like the Aria series. This is definitely an upgrade from the Moondrop Aria and Aria SE. I think it's better in a lot of ways. And so I'm happy to recommend this IEM. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. I basically reviewed like almost all of their lineup, at least the cheaper stuff under like 500. I haven't really touched their like more expensive stuff, but we'll get to it eventually. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video.